Now, sawbuck. There's two kinds, Decker and sawbuck. Decker's more of a military saddle as far as I'm concerned. Sawbuck is the old, all the way back to who knows when, because that was the materials they had. I don't know anything about Deckers. I tie my pad off to my saddle, because that's one of the 7 things that goes wrong when you're packing. And if you have the entire pack on, you watch the pad come out the back, it's not a good feeling. This is the pack saddle I've been using on Chinaco. Now the reason for it being tied off where it is so if you have a paniard, the edge is here instead of the edge being against the horse. This is protection. Yeah, whatever you just said. Now, Faithful, if she'll buy into this back cinch thing instead of a britchin, that'll lighten up her load 10 pounds. 10 pounds on the Pacific Crest Trail means a lot. Now, the trick for me, you see the angle of my cinch? That's going to be held in place by the breast collar. This is one of the mistakes people make packing, is they leave the cinch hang down, and if you notice the taper of the gut, when they go downhill, then the cinch just walks forward. It's not a surprise for a packer to see a pack horse with space under both cinches. But if his pack is centered, it stays on. It's kind of a tough feeling to deal with, but that's what happens. And the lash rope I'm going to put on, the same thing happens with that. So here's the key for me, and this is why it's different. A lot of pack saddles have a piece of flat canvas, and there's no strap between the front legs. It's just a piece of canvas here. They do that so they won't choke. Well, if you get your breast collar correct, it keeps it low enough where they can't choke. In the packing world, if you have a string, each horse has their own saddle, and that's it forever. Their own pads, their own saddle. And in the old days, when they, at night, they'd have a string of pack mules or horses, and they got unpacked, and their saddle set in pads set here. In the morning, they'd lead up and drop the rope, and all the horses would stand in a line with nothing on them, and they'd saddle them. They knew where to go. They were in that place in the string. The back cinch is at an angle. Here's the straight one, so it'll stay behind. So the width of that, the idea is to stay on the curvature of the gut, and that's what keeps it all right. Now the tie off, there's a million ways to do it, and all you got to do is remember that that's how you did it. Watch. That's a packer style.
Will you do that one more time?
And once again, I'm going to show you what I do. A real packer might show you something completely different, but that's irrelevant to me. I'm just showing you what I know. You just go back in. Okay, so now I know how that's tied. I've got my entire pack on. I need to tighten it. I know that I can get underneath there and pull that, and I'll be able to get to it. If I have the regular knot on it, I can't do anything. I'm sure there's a name for it, but I have no idea what it is. So that's it. The pins, to me, are important because a lot of pack outfits don't use pins. I like them. It's insurance. That one's too short to go in here because I don't want to make a big bubble here. I don't want to do that. I can't get the tail anyway. So this one, I know if I can get to here, I can get it out. So you just remember that. Now, it's a habit. My friend Mare tells me that I do things that I don't even think about. It's a given, automatic with me and a horse. I don't lose contact with the horse. Now me, when I was packing, which was in Jackson Hole, which was the Heart 6, and Yosemite, that was real packing, and the rest of my packing's all been salt.
And a bathtub and washing machine.
Well, I have packed a few things that we found out in the brush.
My coat iron and toiletries.
Now I'm going to show you a little insurance. So now you got a horse that you haven't packed before. I got two ways of doing this. This is one of them. Now, for what it's worth, this is the horse that I had all the little people from China climbing up and down him over in Vegas. And he absolutely froze. Something else you always put in your memory bank is you know that your off paniard went on last. So if you have a wreck, you have to get that one off first. I would put, on this particular set of panniers, I would put 50 pounds in each bag. And then I would have what they call a top pack. Top pack is usually duffel. Duffel means sleeping bags, clothes bags, tents, teepees, flies. So your panniers are already full. And now you set your top pack on. And as you can appreciate it, what it does is it gives you a nice level place to pack. So now if you look at it from behind, you can see it's not centered. Now here's the mistake people make. Right now this horse can't see me. That's why you hold on to him. Now this horse can see me. Lash rope. This is how it's tied up. The story on a lash rope is when I undo them, you take the time to get it out of your way. You'll see all these things that are done wrong, and then you'll never forget them. Now, a lash rope, you always say headache. Headache, meaning here it comes. So if you can do a good day, you can put it over, and as it goes over, you pull it, and it should come back to you. Over, and pull it, and I missed it. It should go right between the legs and land right over on the other side. Center, hook, face back. Hook forward, hooks the brush. Now, you got to do the math. And what I do is I've got a hobble strap between my cinches. I go underneath the hobble strap. So it's against the belly. Now it can't go back and it can't go forward. So you got to know when you pull it that it's going to be tight enough to be centered. So when you're by yourself, you just simply look at it. There's the hook. There's the ring. It's not correct. Now, there's the hook. You don't want the hook or the ring touching the animal. That's just about right. Know that this is going to move about an inch when you're done. Center, center. Now, when you, most outfits have two guys. One on each side, see? And they know the hitches, so you just throw the rope and he does his and then he throws the rope. Well, like everything else in my career, I didn't have two guys. Nobody ever liked me. So I did learn to do everything by myself. And I'm glad. A little too much. There. Now, if you notice, I have a half hitch. Okay. If you're by yourself and you actually need to, I'll show you something. You can take this half hitch just to keep it where it's supposed to be. Now, I use that half hitch, but a true packer I don't think does. So if you can appreciate, if I pull this rope, I'm going to pull the half hitch out. And that's what you want. Get it? To make a clean pack. Okay? I personally use it. And I'll show you how. But if I'm by myself, I can do that. Okay? Now the diamond hitch is started. I've thrown the rope back over, correct? Two ropes. And once again, I put my half hitch in. Lock it. Now you have something to tie to. Now there's two ropes laying here, side by side. Can you guys see okay? The key to this is to roll them. 1, 2. See it? So now you just take your rope, you go on the center of your paniard, here's the center. Go around to the other side. Pull your rope to the middle. Pull it again. Go to the center. To the front. Hook your duffel. See the diamond? Can you see it on top?
When you get on back on top of the trailer.
And that is the diamond hitch. Now personally, here's the part that I do that not a whole lot of people do. You're supposed to be able to just tie it off now and hang the balance. Remember my half hitch? Now because I'm not a very good packer, what I've noticed going down the trail is this rope moves. That's the one where people have a hard time. So start here, Deb. This is how I finish off a pack, and I'm sure I'll go to packer hell for doing it, but that's what I do. I can place it exactly where I want it. Now when you put these hitches around here, you got to put it in your mind, where am I going next? If I go this way, it's going to pull the rope up. If I go under it, when I cross over the back, it'll be friendly to the situation. Bam, bam. Coming around. Push it up on my sawbuck. Any corner you can get. Back to your next one. That one has to pull down, so you'll come in from the top. There's your center on your box. Here goes your end. Over. And now on the left side, you end up with your tie rope ready to grab when you get where you're going. That's how I tie a diamond hitch. And to me, that's one of the best hitches there is. Now you guys, what I don't want to do is confuse the issue. This one, if you learn the diamond The reason for the diamond is when you pull it, everything it's like a net. A box hitch is for lifting the panniers away from the animal. These panniers are short compared to most panniers, so I don't have to lift them away. That's one reason I like them. The bottom of the pannier is still on the pad. Most traditional panniers are about to here. Okay. Me not being an outfitter, I don't need that much panniard. This could be an overnight, no sweat. That's what it's all about.
You want to say hello to Errol?
Oh, our friend in Australia, Errol,
With the meringue pie.
with the meringue pie by his house, which we don't have near our house. This will pack a meringue pie right up here. So when we get over there, mate, that's what we'll do. And I know you have a different style of packing, but I just thought I'd share this with you.
The meringue pie is served on the beach.
So that is and Faith, I think my friend Faith, who this horse is going to, she's going to learn from the backcountry, what's it called, backcountry horsemen. I think they teach packing, so she'll actually learn the real way.
How would that be different?
I don't know.
Still let us know, I'm sure.
I just got a feeling that there's the cowboy.
Do you think they have some like packs that are more like?
Well, I noticed more guys using deckers. And I don't know anything about a decker. But I want to...
Now, could you touch on the packs that they use this on a Western saddle?
No, they're a communist plot. I refuse to talk about them.
Okay, that's all I wanted you to do. Is there a reason why they don't? They think this is for the horses, don't they?
Well, they're nylon. And they're used to pack beer in and meat out. Well, when you pack the beer in, the ice melts and drips down through the bags. And when you pack the meat out, the blood drips into the bag, and then the weight of the meat is all hanging at the bottom of the bag. It's like trying to pack Jell-O. But like I say, I'm pretty much done talking about that. And you know, it's like everything else. I guess I'm not done. It's like everything else in the Western world. Innovative people came up with better ways to do things. As in, if you take this along and shoot a deer, you can lead your horse out and throw that on and pack it out. Well, good. See ya. In a hurry, in a bind, you can pull on this as hard as you want and get it off there. Then you throw the, like in a jackpot. Because anybody that's ever packed has been in a jackpot. If they haven't, then they haven't packed. So now, questions? Deb, does it make sense?
Want to say that again?
I'm going to tie the simplest pack hitch there is. And there's no name for it. And whenever I say that, 7 people are going to get a hold of me and tell me the name of it. And I'm glad. Because that's the beauty of not being too sharp. I just don't know. This is nothing more than an X. Tight. I know where it's supposed to be now. Centered. Tight. I'm going to lock it. I just locked it and I put a half hitch on it. Now I've locked my half hitch. But packing to me, if you actually get into it, which I hope to go to a school someday and get to be around somebody like Dave Stamey or somebody that knows what they're doing.
And can play a song.
And you watch the way I'm going here. All I'm doing is making an X. I went to the middle, pulled it, walking my rope to the middle, pulled it, walking my rope, to the middle, and pulled it. It's nothing more than an X.
It's the X pack.
Okay, now you notice I didn't pull hard. Now I'll show you why. This reminds me of those cooking channels. Here's why you put butter in. Okay. Up. It's no different than what you saw before, except I'm starting on this side. Up. Remember, this is what Pat does. There's all kinds of schools that teach you how to really do this. And I think it's worth mentioning that most of the packing I've done as a cowboy are on horses that haven't been packed. So I really needed to stay on. Like my colt. I know I'm going to the sawbuck, so I went under. Pull, drop, pull. You do not want your rope across here. Half hitch. Pull. Pull back and forward. Now, if you can reach it, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I'm back in my sawbuck. Now I'm back to my left side where I started. There's my half hitch. Raise it. Tie it off. And there it is. That's not straight, as my bride tells me.
Now you use that because it's faster?
Well,
Easier?
the best one for Lori is if I don't have a top pack and it's just panniers, and like if I'm empty, and these I don't have to pull them away from the horse, I use that hitch. It's fast, I can do it by myself, I can keep my rope with me faster. But if I've got things on top, I need that diamond to...
So you got to throw it over and...
Yeah. Well, and the diamond spreads out on top. Because if you ever see a classic pack string, and Bev, I know you've seen pictures of it where they have the kettle or the pot on the very top, or a bucket. That's a packer, because he knew how to put that diamond on there and end up with that bucket right on top. And a lot of good outfitters, they'll have a shovel for emergencies also. Anyway, I don't know what that's called, but I've gotten away with that for years. And the reason we're standing here is for our friend Faith to see how good this little horse is. Well, you know, before I quit, you guys, since we're here, I want to show you slinging.
Oh yeah, swing it.
And that's
This is for Cam.
this is for our friend Cammie, because her husband,
He's gonna get old.
who's a triathlon, Mr. Universe, ripple, muscle, sinew, run 10 miles with a backpack full of rocks. Okay. I passed him. But anyway, he's going to have to admit about the birthday cake thing, and he might want to, when he shoots a giant elk with a bow and he hand packs it all to camp, he might want to get a pack horse. So we're trying to get him to get a pack horse because his bride, Cammie, who is an excellent horsewoman, could do it. So I'm going to show you what I did in Jackson. I worked for an outfitter, and they would kill everything that had hair on it, and then I would pack it out. So packing meat and our carcasses has a little bit of a knack to it. Now this would be equal to a hindquarter. You know, I lived up in Wyoming. I was on the PK ranch. And we had what we called PK Lane, which was a road that was public access from the highway to the national forest. So the public was able to use it. So all the hunters would park their trucks and trailers there and then ride up the mountain to go to their hunting camps. That's the way it worked. Legal access. Well, the biggest mistake I saw, two of the biggest, the first one was hobbling their horse. So they'd get up the hill, hobble their horse, then watch him lope out of camp. So we'd be cowboying and see this horse coming down the lane like this, and we'd laugh. Second one is they'd take a colt and say, by God, that colt, we'll just take him and pack him. They never packed him in his life. So now they lead him from the trailer, put a bunch of stuff on him, and he either blows up, takes off, or does nothing. So they drag him up the lane, or he might blow up, and then you see all these things laying in the lane and the horse gone. Or they made it all the way to camp, then they hang a dead animal on him and try to come out. And most of the horses where the big mistake was made were twos. That's the part that really made me sick, because it ruined them for life. And all it was bragging rights, so you could belly up at the mint and say, by God, that colt packed the whatever out. Well, I wouldn't even pack my lunch on it. So that's just a warning for those of you that think about getting into packing. Be smart about it. Now I'm only going to do one side because you'll understand what I'm getting at. But if you take a lash rope without this, without the belly band. Okay, now you make it to half. And this is way overkill and more than you need, but I'm just going to show you. I don't know the exact length of what you need, but probably a packer would know. 20 feet, that's half, right? So now you make 2 half hitches on it. So pretend this isn't on there. You take the one rope and get it on one side, and you have the other rope on the other side. So you're halfway, 2 half hitches. 1, 2. Now you take this, and the way I do it, I know the width of this. I have to be able to reach this. So I take it And I set it on here, and I hold it, and I pick up my rope, hook it, and hook it, and I have just slung my quarter. Now if you take a 50-pound sack of grain, you do the same thing, and you look at it, and you get it right, and you pound it into the sack, I go across, pick it down, and I can do whatever I need to do here. That's one side. Okay, remember, I put the half hitches on the front of the sawbuck to hold this half. I'll put the half hitches on the back of the sawbuck to hold the other half. And as a packer, you always got to remember what was the last thing I did. Because if I'm not mistaken, you plan on a wreck, and you're really glad if you don't have one. Okay. The packer's creed. It would be really hard to pack in this country because there's not enough rocks. Grab me that brick over there, will you, Bernard? Our friend Bob Blackwell, he said the best packers are in the Rocky Mountains. That's where all the rocks are. Thank you. So now you've got this pack that's slipping, as in falling too heavy one way. So it's falling that way, and your pack is starting to get cockeyed. So you stop, and you put a rock under here, get it centered, and take off again. Then you watch it. And of course, this is your gun sights. I tell you where you're at. So that's how you balance a load. As far as I know, it's legal. But this is basically how I would sling a hindquarter with the biggest part of the hindquarter pointed this way and balance it, okay? Now you can actually put a cape on top, caped out from the neck out or something, or you can put some duffel. So that's...
Clay might actually need 2 pack horses.
Well, you'll make 2 trips for an elk for sure. Anyway, Clay, let the horse carry it. Now, something you ought to understand is this is done with a matty. A matty is a piece of canvas just like this, and you lay it down. Now you've got your meat wrapped in muslin, or the cloth they put on meat. Now you make like an envelope, they call it, and you fold it so that you just have a big chunk of canvas, not meat. So now when you pick it up, it's protected, it's cooler, it's inside, it's not dripping all over the place. And that's another way of packing, incidentally, is there is no panniers. It's all matties. Good packers used to be able to do everything with canvas matties. They were amazing.
Wow.
I was never that handy, but I'm just telling you that there's situations where that's done. So anyway, this horse is prepared to go from Mexico to Canada on the Pacific Crest Trail if you so choose. Thank you.